Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Mike Drodis, Bible teacher and preacher, and you've tuned into my YouTube channel, Solving the Prophetic Puzzle. Recently, I received an email from my pastors. They sent me an article from the Jerusalem Post. The headline for the article was The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. It was published June 25th by Voss Shinoy. He was inferring that we are in a cycle of war, famine, and death. And we have seen this cycle repeat over and over again through history. Now, I, for one, have been teaching that we are actually seeing the four horsemen of the apocalypse begin to ride upon the earth. We are seeing the seals be opened. But this disturbs people. It gets them upset. And I know why it gets them upset. So let's get into the message. Let's get into the teaching right now. If you have your Bibles and would like to follow along with me, let's go to the book of Revelation. The last book of the Bible, the book of Revelation, starting at chapter 4. If you had time later on, you could go ahead and read chapter 4, chapter 5, and chapter 6, and you'd get the whole context of what I'm talking about. But for time's sake, we'll just look at chapter 4 for a minute. In Revelation chapter 4, we see that John the Apostle was caught up to heaven. And he saw the throne room. Revelation chapter 5, John sees this scroll. Revelation chapter 5, verse 1, and I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll written inside, and on the back sealed with 7 seals. John saw the throne room of heaven. He saw the throne of God, and he saw God sitting on this throne. And he saw four living creatures, and he saw all these things. And then he saw from the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll written inside. And on the back it was sealed with 7 seals. John saw this. It was a rolled up scroll. Revelation chapter 5, verse 2. Then I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and to loose its seals?" And no one in heaven or on the earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look at it. So I wept much, because no one was found worthy to open and read the scroll or look at it. But one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has prevailed to open the scroll and to loose its 7 seals." That's very important. Loose the 7 seals. And I looked, and behold, in the midst of the throne, and one of the 4 living creatures, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb as though it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God, and out into all the earth. Then he came and took the scroll out of the right hand of him who sat on the throne. This is Jesus. Jesus is the only one worthy to open the scroll. He accepted the scroll from his Father. Now, the scroll would be wrapped up something like this. It'd be wrapped up and it would be sealed on the outside with 7 seals. And in order to read what's inside the scroll, you had to open the seals one at a time. One at a time, you had to open the seals. In other words, to get into the revelation, to get into what's inside the scroll, the seals have to be opened first. They need to be opened before you can read the scroll. And this disturbs people. People get disturbed because I'm saying that the seals are being opened. But they'll say that if the seals are being opened, then we are not in the tribulation. You see, their assumption is that the 7 seals are part of the tribulation period, the 7-year tribulation period, and that we're going to be raptured before the 7-year tribulation period begins. So if the seals are being opened, then they're being opened during the 7-year tribulation period, and we're still here, and the rapture hasn't occurred. So I am teaching something that's false. I am being a false teacher. And I'm going to try to explain that the seals have to be opened before you can get into the scroll. There is no other way. That's the way it was designed. The seals are on the outside, and only Jesus Christ is able to open each seal one at a time, as we read earlier, one at a time. I know we're not in the tribulation period. I know that we haven't started Daniel's 70th week. I understand that. But there are so many misconceptions going around about the end times, and so many teachings that have been taught back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s that is simply being accepted as part of the Bible. What was taught decades ago was good, but they only saw things dimly. More revelation has been increased, has been illuminated upon the word as we draw closer and closer to the day of the Lord, to the day of salvation. Even the term 7-year tribulation period is a subject that I have issue with. That's why I often refer to it as Daniel's 70th week. Daniel's 70th week. But when I say that, people don't understand or don't know what I'm talking about. So I have to say, the 7-year tribulation period. I mentioned earlier that I was going to begin to go deeper into the things of God, deeper into these prophecies and end-time prophecies. And I'm going to do that. Not today, but I'm going to go deeper into these things in the near future. As I said earlier, I believe that we are experiencing right now the opening of the seals, one at a time. And as that author noted, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. There are 4. The rider on the white horse, the red horse, the black horse, and the pale horse, or sometimes it's referred to as the green horse. So let's look at these 4 horsemen and these 7 seals that are on the outside of the scroll. The scroll would be the revelation of Jesus Christ, and the seals are on the outside that need to be opened so the revelation can begin to unfold. Revelation chapter 6, verse 1. Now I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures say with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a white horse. He who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. And immediately everybody is determined, since somebody mentioned this back in the 60s or 70s, that's the Antichrist. There you go. The Antichrist is the first seal. No, I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way at all, because the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, if you look at them, the 4 horsemen in general, they are events that are happening. War, famine, and death. And then the first one is not a event, it's a persona, it's a person. That doesn't even follow the type with the other 4. This is an event. The first horse, the white horse of the apocalypse, is an event. And we see exactly what it is if you read the Bible with spiritual eyes. And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow. A bow shoots things, shoots arrows. And he was given a crown. The rider on the white horse was given a crown, given a corona. In other translations, it was given to him, and he went out to conquer and conquering. This first seal was opened somewhere around February 2020, and it is none other than the virus of the crown. I remember explicitly in February of 2020, I was on a missionary trip to Peru, and I was at the airport at Lima, Peru, around February 22nd, 2020. And I looked around and I saw that the whole airport was full of people wearing white surgical masks. I asked my friend, I said, "What is all this about?" He goes, "I don't know. Maybe it's about that virus that they were talking about." And that virus began to spread worldwide. It began to go forward to conquer and conquer. It shut down nations. It destroyed businesses. It killed millions of people. It changed people's lives and ruined people's lives. Even to today, it's still affecting people. This virus of the crown went forward and changed the whole world like nothing ever has before. And notice the arrow, the bow. The bow is wanting to shoot an arrow. They're always wanting to shoot an arrow into you. They're always wanting to shoot this arrow into you. And it's still going on. This first rider set a precedent now. The elites know how to shut down a nation and how to change things in just a few days. And it is still conquering and conquering. The second horse of the apocalypse is in Revelation chapter 6, verse 3. When he opened the second seal. See, he's opening it one at a time. First he opens the first seal. Then he opens the second seal. You still can't get into the revelation until you get these seals opened. He opened the second seal, and I heard the second living creature say, "Come and see." And another horse, a fiery red horse, went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, that people should kill one another, and there was given to him a great sword. The second the second seal has been opened. I believe that this seal was opened around the same date, February 22nd, 2022, 2 years later. We are witnessing the red horse war ride right now. We saw this as a nation, as the Russian nation invaded the Ukrainian nation. And it's leading to a spirit of war. It's feeding off of itself. There are other nations that are restless. There's a big nation that's looking at a little nation in the Far East, and it may attack that nation as well. We are seeing people groups come up against people groups. We're seeing wars happen in the heavenlies. Wars happen on the earth. The red horse of war is in Europe. When you look at the map, every time that land is taken, they put it in red. You look at the red dragon of the east, looking at a tiny nation that it wants to absorb. We are going to see an escalation in war, not a de-escalation. We will see escalations of war all over the world. The next seal has yet to be opened, the third seal, the third rider. But we are very, very close. Verse 5, when he opened the third seal, I heard a third living creature say, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a black horse, and he who sat on had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures say, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. And do not harm the oil and wine." The fourth seal, we're right on the verge, and isn't it interesting? John even gave us a clue. There would be a wheat shortage. He even said a quart of wheat for a day's wage, a loaf of bread for a day's wage. We're talking hyperinflation. We're experiencing inflation now, but we haven't seen nothing yet. We're a day's wage for a loaf of bread. And he even mentioned wheat and barley. Wheat, Russia and Ukraine produce 25% of all the wheat. There have been dry spells in farmlands that have wiped out wheat crops. There's a fertilizer shortage. There's a fuel shortage. Well, there's a fuel increase in fuel prices, which is going to cause truck drivers not to want to distribute food. We're going to see hyperinflation. The black horse, we're going to see, he was carrying scales, commerce. There's going to be great market corrections happening. People are going to lose fortunes in a day. Things are going to change in the worldwide economy. Scarcities. There's going to be a great division between the very, very poor and the very, very rich. And that horse is on its way. I would predict, if I were to predict, we will see this probably before the end of this year. Then the fourth horse is the pale horse. This is the worst horse, in my opinion. For this horse is given power to kill 1/4 of the earth, with sword, with hunger, with death, and by the beast of the earth. Plagues usually come from the beast of the earth. There's going to be more war, more plagues, more scarcity, more hunger with this pale horse rider. Revelation, or the fifth seal is the cry of the martyrs crying out to God. There's a thought that these are only the tribulation saints. Oh, these are more. These are all the martyrs who have died for their faith in Jesus Christ. And they're crying out to God, not for revenge, but for vindication. And God says, we're almost there, just a little while longer. The sixth seal is interesting. And I looked, and he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood. And the stars of heaven fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded up as a scroll is rolled up, and every mountain, every island moved out of its place. What John saw, I would love to teach further. Maybe I'll leave a video at the end of this. But John was describing the rapture of the church in the sixth seal. There's actually three things in the sixth seal, but one thing that John mentions is he's seen the rapture of the church in the sixth seal. John saw the rapture from the point of view of those who are still left on this earth. They hid in caves, and they said the great day of his wrath has come. That was their perception of what had happened. Paul describes the rapture in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 as from the believer's point of view. The seventh seal is the prelude to the trumpet judgments, and the last seal that is opened on the scroll. The trumpet judgments are the wrath of God being poured out on unrepentant men and those who accepted the mark. We won't be here. We'll be gone. We'll be gone at that time, because the wrath of God is never poured out upon his children. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5:9. So I want to encourage you. Be strong in the Lord. The seals are being opened right before our eyes. Our King is coming very soon. God placed you here on this earth. You are alive right now to overcome. And as I like to say all the time, keep looking up. Jesus Christ is coming back. Hey, if you haven't liked or subscribed yet, please do. Until next time, God bless you.